Hey everyone, and welcome back to Small Screen Sagas. I'm your host, Nicole. Today I'll be talking about the show from Season 1, Episode 7, entitled All Good Things. We'll keep up with the same format, even though everyone was sort of everywhere this episode, so we'll have some overlap here. Let's start off with Jade. And my apologies, because I did spoil sort of two things in last episode. I guess I couldn't remember when they happened, and I thought it already happened. And that was one, Jade getting that book from Mrs. Liu, and she showing him those signs. And that's when he sees the picture of a young Victor in the background with his lunchbox. So Jade knows that someone in this past has had the signs or has seen those signs before. And Victor would be his first person to go to because Victor obviously has been here the longest. So hopefully when things calm down, Jade will have an opportunity to talk to Victor and see if maybe they can find out or get some more information from each other. Then we have Father Khatri. A little spoiler on that as well. I didn't go over his whole story, but I thought he had already told his story, but he told his story in this episode. And it was a sad story. You know, he told Boyd that he was hiding Sarah in his basement, which Boyd pulled a gun at him. He's like, what the fuck? After everything that you just made me do with Frank, now you're hiding a killer? So he was pretty mad about that. But once he explains his story and says 3 years ago when I came, so that's another time frame that Father Khatri has been here for 3 years. He says 3 years ago when he came, he buried a bag on his first day. No one saw, no one knew about it, but Sarah somehow knew due to the voices in her head. And he tells the story of how he was a priest and there was a young boy that came to him and he kind of wanted to stay after and he was busy, so he kind of brushed the boy off. But he had this feeling in his head. So he did go to the boy's family later that night and he finds the boy. It sounds like the boy was probably dead, beaten by his father. And the father's kind of just like, you know, he'll be all right. He'll shake it off. He'll walk it off type of thing. And the boy's neck was bulging from his, you know, his bones were bulging from his neck. And he beat the shit out of that man. And that's why the items that he had were alcohol, probably because the father's alcohol. A bloody clothes, probably bloody from how he beat the man. He might have killed the father. It kind of was open-ended. So did he kill the father? He probably did. He probably beat him to death, rightfully so. And then I don't know if he took that chocolate candy bar from the boy back as a reminder, because that boy still had the chocolate in his pocket that he gave him. And he's just like, I sent him off with a chocolate thinking, hey, scoot kid, chocolate will do. So it was really sad to hear how Father Khatri realized like what certain kids or certain people are going through on a home life. And he felt like he failed this kid. And although I see what he feels, this is not his fault. What happened to that kid is not his fault. Now, if he knew that the child was getting abused at home and let it slide, that's something different. But in this case, it sounds like he just didn't want to be bothered or thought the boy just kind of wanted to hang out a little bit longer. But at the same time, he did have that feeling, and that's what led him to going to the boy's home. So that was Father Khatri's story. I thought it was pretty impactful. And based on that and everything that Sarah knew, he's asking Boyd, hey, take us with you on this journey, because I think she will be able to have answers that we don't know about. So that's where they sort of left that conversation off before everything went to chaos and went crazy towards the end. Now let's talk about Fatima and Trudy. We've seen Trudy here and there. Not that many things that we know about Trudy. We just know she loves her pillow, Meredith, and she did take Julie's shirt, and they share everything. And she would have rode Jade like an alabaster dragon if he would have stayed at the colony house. I loved that scene in the last episode. Fatima's not Fatima. Fatima is happy. She's happy. They're celebrating her 1 year anniversary. And it's not celebrating necessarily coming there. It's celebrating that she survived for a year. And Trudy's sort of looking sad. And we always see Trudy happy. And Trudy goes, you know, I don't think this would ever happen to me. Like, I don't think I'll ever get an anniversary party like this. And that's when Fatima gives her favorite yellow sweater and tries to cheer her up because Fatima's such a good person, even though Fatima loved this sweater. And that's the one thing she said she won't let Trudy get her hands on. She gives it to her. It cheers Trudy up. And Trudy's like, you know, I'm going to go look for something to give you. And that's sort of where we left Fatima and Trudy. And then next, that's when we get that awkward scene between Fatima and Julie, which Julie's young, impressionable. If you remember when she first met Fatima and Fatima called her pretty, Julie's like, that's not funny. Like, she thought she was trying to clown her. Like, that's not funny. Don't try to make fun of me or whatever by calling me pretty when I'm not. And Fatima's like, no, you are pretty. And Julie is a pretty girl. And I think maybe she obviously has friends. So I'm thinking maybe she's young. She doesn't have that much experience, or probably any at this point. And she's in a weird place where someone's being nice to her. So you're going to gravitate to that. You want to hold on to that feeling. So when she sees Fatima kissing that other girl, and she's like, I thought you were with Ellis. She's like, yeah, Ellis is my person. That was just that. She asks Fatima, like, well, can I kiss you, or can you kiss me? It could be that either she has feelings for Fatima or thinks she has feelings for Fatima because she's been so nice to her. Or she's like, heck, I've never kissed anybody. I might as well try to kiss someone before I die in this town. So I don't know what's going on from it. But when Fatima hesitated and was going to let her down easily, Julie ran off and was like, no, I was just kidding, and ran off and actually ran to the only person she thought she could relate to at that moment, which was Victor. Or at least she's like, that was the quietest place in the house. And I'm very glad that Julie actually ended up going to Victor's room, because that ultimately, I feel like, saved her. What do you guys think? Does Julie have a crush on Fatima, or is this just like, oh, well, if you're willing to kiss a girl and I've never kissed anyone, I'd rather just try with you? Like, what do you think that's about? Then while Julie's having that awkward incident happen with her, we have Ellis, on the other hand, that should be happy for Fatima. It's her day, but instead he's walking around, he's drunk, he's getting arguments, he got an argument with Dale, and we do find out a little bit more about his background, because Dale says, what are you going to do, shoot up the place? And when he said that, Ellis got really upset, like really, really upset. So you know that had a deeper meaning than just saying, are you going to shoot up the place? Because, well, Ellis doesn't have a gun. So there's something behind that. We'll find out more later. But Ellis being drunk and sad, it's really because, yeah, Fatima's celebrating her 1 year of survival. But as she mentioned to Julie, Ellis is celebrating maybe his 1 year of someone not surviving. You know, we see that Boyd's wife is buried there, so she died there, which is Ellis's mom. So there's something more to it. This is a happy reminder of Fatima's survival, but it's also a sad reminder for Ellis, for people who have not survived living in this place. Now let's talk about the monsters. They're the monsters as a whole. So Julie found the flowers last episode. And the guy, we see him talking to the girl. And she's like, when can I come in? So it's another night. He's like, they're having a party. If I just let you in, no one else can come in. She's like, yeah, sure, of course. Man, she killed him within 30 seconds of getting in that room. Kissed him a little. He got his little kiss, and then she bit his tongue out and killed him. And then open the window for all her other monster friends to come in. And the first time watching this, I'm freaking out. Like, how? How are they going to get out of this? Everyone's going to die. Like, I was just so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, excited, scared, nervous, whatever, all the feelings. And when Julie and Victor here, and Victor's like, it's starting. Like, he had the rope. Victor was ready, okay? He had the rope. He threw it down. Once he saw the boy in white, he's like, we got to go to the trees. And then when he pushed Julie in the tree, I'm getting ahead of it, but we'll just talk about that part. When he pushed Julie in the tree and he was like, tell your brother it's starting, he'll know what that means. So hopefully she does put that message to Ethan. Obviously, Victor and Ethan have this relationship where they understand this place more than everyone else. And I think if everyone else just takes a minute to talk to them and actually listen to them, and Jade, because Jade knows there's some weird shit going on too, they might get somewhere. So inside the Colleen house, it's chaos once they realize the monsters are inside. Like, when Dale sees the blood dripping down, he's like, what the fuck is this? Is it blood? And then looks up and sees the monster. I would freeze. I would just be dead, because I would freeze and curl up in a corner and die, honestly. But we see the monsters. Everyone's running. Poor Trudy. She's the first to run into the monsters. That's probably her blood that was dripping. When she hears someone laughing, she's like, what's so funny? And, Trudy's just happy and what's great, what's happening here? And she freaks out. So it's kind of sad hearing just moments earlier she was telling Fatima she doesn't think she'll ever get to have her celebration of survival. And then seeing that, yeah, she was right. She's not going to have her celebration of survival. She's not going to make it. It made it sad because I liked her character. Like, she just pops up every now and again with a little comic relief. I liked her character. We're going to miss you, Trudy. So we're seeing people get killed. It's chaos. Everyone's like, follow the protocol. Donna's like, follow the protocol. Because at first Donna's like, I'm not leaving. I'm like, Donna, you already told the story of your sister. What do you think you're going to do? But Fatima's like, no, follow protocol. Get the people in the van. Which I thought was smart. But at the same time, I'm also thinking there should be like 3 vans lined up in front of the house. How is there one van that can fit like 10 people? And there's like 30 or 40 of y'all in the colony house. But at least they had a van, and they can run where the monsters don't run, so I guess they can always run to town. Like, if you don't get it in the van, you gotta make a run for it. But I did appreciate they had a van, but at the same time, I'm like, y'all needed more than one van for that big old house and all those people. Now, Ellis, he's freaking out because he sees dead Trudy, thinking it's Fatima, and luckily he realizes it's not, and he has to jump from the second store window or get killed brutally by one of these monster things. And he jumps, and Fatima has the wit to say, hey, and they kind of go in that foyer, close the doors, and she realizes, yes, the talisman worked. And he does ask, he's like, how'd you know that was going to work? And she's like, I didn't. But since your father was able to stay in an RV, I was hoping this little space with the talisman here, it would work. And she was right. It did work. So this was a very high adrenaline episode. Everything was happening so fast. We see, unfortunately, Father Khatri gets his throat slit by a monster when he's helping the people out. And he's like, this is how I'm supposed to die. This isn't my path. Pray with me. I'm not trying to be mean, but it was like, okay, Father, like, save your breath. Like, save your breath, dude. You about to die. But it was a good episode. A very, very good episode. It was probably the most exciting episode. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it just, the adrenaline. It's just like, go, run, hide. I would freak out. Just, it's so many emotions. And I'm going to say all the episodes are good, but this is probably my favorite from season 1. And I'm enjoying talking about it. So yeah, that's everything, y'all. We'll be back shortly with the next one and see what the aftermath looks like of letting everyone in, what happened at the colony house, and how they're gonna move on from this. Like, do they think the talisman stopped working, or do they think someone, like, how do they know what happened since Kevin was killed? Do they realize that someone opened the window? Are they gonna be able to do an investigation and figure out the you know, how we got here or whatever? Or are they just gonna be like, shit, someone opened a door or a window and we don't know who, and move on? So all right, if you guys want to be part of the podcast, hit me up, host@theverdictsin.com. That's HOST @theverdictsin. Be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter @theverdictsin as well. Until then, I'll talk to you later.